very concerned that Haitians who are
We're
taking
about to
this
start
irregular migration path are receiving false
Module
information
3.
that the border
Okay?
is open or
Module
that temporary
3
protected status
is
is available. I want to make sure that it is known that this
getting
is not a
deeper
way
into
to come to the United States.
Mexico,
That is
and
false information.
Mexicanity is the overall theme. And you should already now have started reading the book. Do not forget to contact me if you need me. I am available by appointment. As Module 3 is starting, I want you to connect the current political discussions that are in the media. And you will notice that a lot of the tactics that you'll find describing immigrants will relate to how you'll hear some of the information in the book. Okay? So if you're reading the book, notice how the book intersects with present day political climate. Now, as part of this class, I created the podcast pilot series. And it's not something that you are required to do, but it allows you to see how this history is important to you, because a lot of times students do not get a chance to see how it intersects directly with their present day, so it could feel useless. So I wanted to show you how far we've gone so far, because I know a lot of you are probably behind. I usually was in the fall at New Mexico State University, but I usually caught up, using my weekends. I'm lying. Anyway, the census here, you could see, please answer both question 8, blah, blah, blah. You can read it. The idea was, what is a Hispanic if it's not a race? Okay. Now you'll see that intersects currently when we talk about immigration in New Mexico, in the borders. That's the kind of language that is bubbling up in the current political climate. Now, if you remember, Haitians were at the border about 5 years ago, right? We had those images. Now they're in Ohio, right? So a lot of this is connected. Haitian Revolution. I can go on. I'm not going to lecture here, but I just want you to connect the themes that are going on, not just in this class, but the current political climate, because they are directly connected, even though it was 200 years ago, in some cases, and 100 years ago, definitely, as this class developed. Okay, so I'm going to do some reading, and then we'll go from there. Now, remember, the reason why I did the podcast pilot series, so as you can see, I'm also doing one, so you can see what it looks like. And if you wanted to engage it, you could. If you don't, you don't have to. But it allows for you to be a part of the history too, because the history is being made, and now you get to document yourself. And that's part of it. So, as we're going into chapter 3, okay, we're talking about Mexico. We just left the Mexican War of Independence, and now we are in chapter 3. Quote, to break the fetters of slaves all over the world, end quote. The internationalization of the Civil War, 1850s to 1865. Every major political gain that African Americans and Latinx people have made has been countered by waves of violence and statutory countermeasures designed to abrogate their human rights and claims to citizenship. Now, in this class, I have provided videos inside of each module, okay? And they may not seem like they're all connected, but if you go to module 3 in the Prezi, you'll see that they're all lined up in a way that may give you a better understanding of why those videos are important, okay? So, I'm going to continue reading, but let's see if you
People
can
of African descent go back hundreds
catch
of
up
years in
with,
Mexico, but as a group, Afro-Mexicans are largely invisible. A 2015
that's the
census
video.
is changing that. CCTV's Frank Contreras has insight from Mexico's southern state of Oaxaca.
Among Afro-Mexican communities here on the Pacific coast of Mexico's Oaxaca state, this dance is symbolic. Locals say the devils represent the growing power of African descendants in this part of Latin America. It's a history that's beginning to gain global attention. The presence of Africa here in Oaxaca state is one of the lesser-known aspects of the vast cultural diversity in this region, one of the most culturally diverse in all of Latin America. Last year, for the first time, the government conducted an interim census asking Mexicans, based on your culture, history, and traditions, do you consider yourself black, meaning Afro-Mexican or Afro-descendant? And nearly 1.4 million people responded, yes. Afro-Mexican communities exist here in Oaxaca state's Costa Chica region, the neighboring state of Guerrero, and Veracruz state, among others. An Afro-Mexican leader from Pinotepa Nacional says, as a nation, Mexico is much more than just a mixture of Spanish and indigenous people.
We believe that the whole world should know that in the colonial era, Mexico was an entry point for African slaves. Our ancestors were forcibly brought here under slavery.
But images of African descendants in Mexico rarely appear in public. The exception is this famous comic book character, Memín Penguin, which was created in the 1940s. Nicomedes Ramirez and her cousin, Castula Silva, grew up in these impoverished coastal communities. Ramirez says over the years, politicians have come with their election-year promises to end poverty.
They told us they would help, and they would bring us basic things we were lacking. All we had to do was ask, but so far, they have done nothing for us.
I never went to school because when I was a girl, there was no school here. We had to go to another community, and my parents, may they rest in peace, told me I could not go, so I never studied.
Afro-Mexican communities are almost completely separated from the rest of Mexico, and very few outsiders ever come here for a first-hand look at their most well-known traditions, like this dance known as a chilena, or this one depicting a charging bull. Mexico's national constitution is the only one in Latin America that does not specifically mention the existence of citizens of African descent. Afro-Mexican authorities say they're planning to take legal action and change the constitution so that it includes them.
By having no presence in the Mexican Constitution, there is no public policy that protects our rights and necessities. We, as Afro-Mexicans, like many indigenous Mexicans, live in regions of extreme marginalization.
Constitutional recognition would finally give them access to medical services, educational grants, and Social Security benefits. For now, Afro-Mexicans, whose descendants came from places like Kenya, the Congo, and later the Caribbean, still do not enjoy these basic rights. Frank Contreras, CCTV, on the Costa Chica in Mexico's southern state of Oaxaca.
To officially end the Mexican War, U.S.-Mexico War, on February 2nd, 1848, the United States and Mexico negotiated the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. 2015 census.